Alrighty, guys. So this is the comic book history of Daredevil. This is just like the origin story, kind of explaining how Daredevil became blind, how he got his echolocation kind of hearing thing. Just kind of an explanation of that. All right. So basically, what happened was, um, he had trained his entire life to become a lawyer or a doctor. Because he wanted or because his father wanted him to be more successful than he was. That's kind of like the goal. And so he had forced him, like, you can't play any sports, you can't really have any fun at all. You have to just practice, train, get big brain. Um, and so uh, then one day, uh, he um he saw an old guy crossing the street, and he saw a truck coming, and instead of just doing what he always did and just kind of like walk, like, like, not obviously he wouldn't have like just walked away if he had seen like a truck coming, but he dove in the way, and he knocked the guy out of the way, and he got hit by the truck, and then one of the things of chemicals rolled on top of him and like spilled all over his face. And in the original comic, like the first Daredevil comic, it said something along the lines of radioactivity, which is basically just their way of saying it does exactly what we want it to do whenever we want it to do it. Um, so basically, um, if they have anything in the comics about radioactivity, it's just because yes. Like, Spider-Man gets spider powers because yes. Um, Daredevil gets, you know, echolocation because yes. It's just kind of like that. So you just kind of roll with it. You're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Um, and then so then yeah, he gets the chemical in his eye, and it makes him blind. So um, Daredevil is actually blind, if you didn't know that. Um, so yeah, he then he goes on to like, he can like see with his ears. He's able to make like noises, and with those noises he's able to project it, and when it hits off the wall, he can actually, like, it comes back to him just like echolocation, and he's able to basically see his surroundings. Um and so he's actually able to he's even better at his, like, the physical, like, things that he had started like picking up. He had tried like hitting a punching bag to get his, like, physical, like, I don't know, like, interaction. I don't know, that's not the right word. Basically, in order to get to get out his energy, he had been punching a punching bag, um, because his dad was a boxer. Um, but after his accident, he all of a sudden was able to do these things even better. Um, and so that's just kind of like the story. And then he ended up, dressing up and fighting and whatever. But his dad ended up getting killed because he didn't throw a fight that he was supposed to throw. Um, so that was big sad. All right, now we're also going to do Luke Cage's history, the history of Luke Cage. This one's a little more complicated. So he was in jail for a crime he didn't commit. Um, they said that he had drugs in his house, but they were planted on him by one of his best friends. Um, Long story, you can go read it. Basically, drugs were planted um, by his best friend, and that sent him to jail. And he wouldn't break. Most prisoners, they had broken. Like, they, after getting put in the hole, is what they called it. Like, basically, something isolation. But anyways, like, he's alone in a dark pit. Um, and he can't really do anything, and he just doesn't break, and he isn't willing to rat, and he isn't willing to like team up with, like, get into gangs and stuff like that. So he's in prison, a loner, and the guards all hate him because he's not willing to rat. um and so they ended up like beating him because he wouldn't rat there's a new warden that came, and because he wouldn't rat for the one of the guards, that guard um told another guard that like he would look away while he beat him up. um so then he just beat up Luke Cage. At the time his name was Lucas. I don't remember what his last I don't think they ever said his last name, but his name was Lucas. um and we'll talk about when he changed his name later. But so they beat him up, and then he uh and he just didn't quit. And then the new like warden showed up, and he fired the guard that was beating him up, and then he locked the two of them in the hole, and told Luke that whatever happened in there wouldn't it wouldn't be blamed on him. Like basically none of that happened. So then he basically he just let Lucas beat the crap out of the guards. So that's fun. Um and then so he beat the guard up, and then the guard got fired. Um but the guard that had told him that it was like he would look away, the one who was mad about the rat, he he stayed. He didn't get then no one knew that it was his fault that it all happened, so he didn't get fired. Um so anyways, he then, because he was in such a good condition, like physical condition, and he had never, he wasn't sick, he wasn't, all that. A doctor came and um asked him if he wanted to be part of an experiment that would offer him a high chance of parole. Which, in case you guys don't know, it's basically out of like you get out of prison, but you have like a parole officer watching and making sure you don't do anything that breaks your parole, or like you don't do anything that you're not allowed to. Basically, you have to like check in and all that. And then so that was interesting. But he says no. He's like, no way. And then he thinks about it, and he realizes that this is kind of my only hope. He's like, I would, because he finds out that the guard that was, the guy who stayed that didn't actually do the thing, he's still there. He found out that, and he realized that there was no way he could live happily or good or anything like that with his he could never live happily in a prison, and B, like with that guard. So he decided, yeah, you know what, I'll go for it. I'll take that I'll take the risk of death for a chance of parole. And so he took the risk, he took the challenge, and he so yeah, and then basically the explanation was he got dipped fully in chemicals, and then the guard showed up, and he turned the power voltage up, and then Luke Cage broke through it, and then uh he smacked the guard in the back. He like backhanded the guard, and it nearly killed him. And he's like, dude, I hardly even hit the guy. And he's like, he was so confused how it killed him. Like he was dead, but like he was still at the point where he could be like revived, like like brought back from the dead, like through like CPR or something like that. But then he gets really mad, and he punches the wall, and his fist goes through the wall, and so then he just punches and goes straight through the wall, like completely like tears a hole in the wall that he can go through. um and then a bunch of guards come out and start shooting at him. And he's like, well, that's it. I guess I'm dead. He falls over backwards because he's on like an island prison, kind of like mini Alcatraz is what they called it. He falls backwards into the water, and then like hides in like a little like cove thing. But because he wasn't dead, um, because of the chemicals, again, kind of like radiation, chemicals, just whatever it wants to, whatever it wants to do. Yeah. So then it lets them out. Lets out his power of not bulletproof. He gets bulletproof skin, and so rather than like dead, he has bruises, and not um holes. So after breaking out of prison, he like finds like a raft or boat thing, and he like rows himself all the way back to shore. Um, and his main goal once he gets back there is, um, to go kill his old best friend. The one that had planted the drugs on him. And the reason he wants to kill him is because he sacrificed Luke's girlfriend to save his own life. He put her in the way of gunfire and got her killed. Um, and so Luke was really mad. um, and so he said that he found out through, again, very very vague, people uh, that had outside links told him about it, something like that. And so he got through there, and he's just looking for this guy. He's looking for because he's been pronounced dead because they found his shirt. I don't know why they would pronounce him dead without a body. However, it's comic books, so they can kind of do whatever they want. Um, Also, this was made in the 1950s, so anyway, they pronounced him dead because they found a bullet riddled shirt. And so they were like, yeah, he got shot. He's dead. So then he just walked around without any ID, because he didn't have one. And then he broke into a store, I guess, and found some weird looking clothes. I guess it might have been normal at the time. I guess it was the 50s or 60s, so it might have been normal. But it was like, like the weird, like super, super deep, like V-neck cut. And then like the weird, like the head thing. I'll have a picture up here to show you what it is. But that was the original Luke Cage. He just stole some of the clothes over there. It looked really weird. Um, but yeah, so then there was a guy who had a gun, and so Luke was just walking, and this guy with the gun like just jumps at him. Um, he had just like robbed a store and had taken all their whole day's worth of money, and then the guy like jumped at him to like anyone who gets in my way, I'll shoot him. So then he shot Luke, and it hit him, and the bullet just bounced off. Um, but to everyone else, it looked like he dodged the bullet. I guess they all said he dodged the bullet because they just he was not dead, so they just assumed like, yeah, he dodged the bullet. Um, and then anyway, so he stopped the guy. He hit him over and gave the people back their money. And they offered him like you know, a cash cut of it, because thank you for saving us. Um, and he's not like a normal superhero, so he took the money. He's like, yeah, I'll become Luke Cage, hero for hire. And his name was Luke Cage because he was always in a cage in prison, and being in a cage is what made him the man he is today. So that is the pretty simple story of Daredevil and the fairly complex story of Luke Cage. See you guys. Peace.